In 1965, some American engines were built like legends. The Buick Wildcat 401 V8, smooth, powerful, and nearly indestructible. The Ford 289 small block in the Mustang, a high-revving workhorse that powered everything from daily drivers to race cars. And the Chevy 327 V8, pure reliability with muscle to spare. These engines didn't just run, they roared year after year. In a world of chrome and horsepower, these were the hearts that never gave out. Dear viewers, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you for your support. Number 5, 1965 Dodge Coronet with 225 slant 6. Displacement 225 cubic inches, 3.7 liters. Inline 6, slanted 30 degrees to the right. Horsepower, approximately 145 horsepower at 4,000 revolutions per minute. Torque, approximately 215 pound-feet at 2,400 revolutions per minute. Carburetor, typically a single-barrel fuel economy, mid to high teens miles per gallon. Depending on gearing and body style, 7 main bearings made the crankshaft extremely stable under stress. Thick cast iron block and cylinder head could withstand abuse. The slanted layout helped with airflow and cooling, reducing the risk of overheating. The Slant 6 would often continue running with minimal oil, faulty carb tuning, or multiple missing spark plugs. The engine wasn't a high-revving design. It produced ample torque at low RPM, perfect for long-term use and abuse. Workhorse for decades, used across Mopar platforms, Darts, Valiants, Coronets, vans, pickups, and even industrial equipment. Survivor engine. Even today, it's not uncommon to find Slant 6s still running in vintage cars or parked in barns, starting with a new battery and some fresh gas. It was no drag racer. Even with good torque, it was sluggish compared to V8s. Valve cover and rear main seal leaks were common with age carburetor sensitivity. The single-barrel carb could become finicky without proper tuning or regular cleaning. The 225 Slant 6 in the 1965 Dodge Coronet was a marvel of American engineering. A slow but unstoppable engine. It may not have thrilled drivers with speed, but it gained respect by never quitting, no matter how poorly it was treated. Number 4, 1965 Pontiac GTO engine, Pontiac 389 V8, 1959 through 1966. Configuration OHV V8, 90-degree displacement, 389 cubic inches, 6.4 liters. Horsepower, 1965 GTO. Standard 4-barrel, approximately 335 horsepower tri-power setup, approximately 360 horsepower, 3 2-barrel carburetors. Torque, approximately 430 pound-feet. Massive low-end torque fuel system. Carter 4-barrel or triple Rochester. 2 barrels, tri-power, compression. Ratio, 10.75 to 1:1 in high-output variants. Strong bottom end. Cast crankshaft with forged steel rods, and durable main bearings made it resilient under high RPM stress. Pontiac engines had excellent water passages, wide timing covers, and high-volume pumps. They rarely overheated if maintained. Easy to work on. Roomy engine bays and widely available parts contributed to its long life. Despite high power output, it didn't suffer catastrophic failures often, even when drag raced or street-driven hard. The GTO helped kick off the muscle car movement, and the 389 V8 was its beating heart. Owners could easily extract more horsepower with carb, cam, and exhaust upgrades without compromising reliability. Known for monstrous torque off the line, making it a terror at stoplights and a favorite at drag strips. With regular oil changes and a proper cooling system, many 389s saw 150,000 to 200,000 miles, even when pushed hard. In 1965, the GTO wasn't a separate model. It was an option package on the Pontiac Tempest Le Mans. But the legend was born thanks to this engine and its muscular presence. Number 3, 1965 Buick Skylark. Engine: Buick 300 V8, 1964 to 1967. Configuration: 90-degree V8. Overhead valve, OHV displacement, 300 cubic inches, 4.9 liters. Power: approximately 210 to 250 horsepower, depending on carburetor and compression. Torque: around 300 pound-feet. Perfect for a mid-size car like the Skylark block. Cast iron heads, aluminum in 1964 only. Cast iron from 1965 onward. Lighter than most contemporaries, particularly with aluminum heads and intake fuel system. 2-barrel or 4-barrel carburetor Buick built this engine with tighter tolerances and smoother components than many other GM divisions. Not high revving, but extremely smooth and torque-rich at low to mid RPMs, ideal for cruising. Despite its size, it delivered decent fuel economy thanks to relatively low compression and mild cam profiles. Forged crankshaft in many variants, strong main caps, and excellent oiling kept it alive even with neglect. Roomy engine bay, simple layout, and parts shared with other Buick models. Durability: 200,000 plus miles wasn't rare for these engines, with just oil changes and occasional valve jobs, also found in Buick Specials and some Jeep models later on. The architecture of the Buick 300 formed the basis for the later Buick 340 and 350 Phi 8s, which carried on its durability. While overshadowed by Chevy's small blocks, Buick fans know this engine for its bulletproof nature and refined demeanor. Fun fact: in 1964, the aluminum heads and intake made the Buick 300 one of the lightest domestic 5/8s of its time, nearly as light as an inline 6. While 1965 switched to cast iron heads for durability, the engine retained its smooth and long-lasting characteristics. Number 2, 1965 Ford Mustang engine, 289 Windsor FIV 8 configuration, small block Phi 8, part of Ford's Windsor engine family. Output ranged from 200 horsepower to 271 horsepower in the 1965 Mustang. Displacement: 289 cubic inches, approximately 4.7 liters. Carbureted: typically used a 2- or 4-barrel carburetor, depending on trim and performance level. Excellent oiling system. Compared to some other V8s of the era, the 289 had better oil circulation, which helped prevent wear in the valve train and bearings. Durable timing chain setup. Timing chains were reliable and long-lasting, and unlike belts, they were less likely to break or slip. With a simple cast iron block, carbureted intake, and no complex electronics, it was a favorite of backyard mechanics and racers alike. The 289 responded well to tuning, especially the Hypo version, and was often upgraded with headers, cams, and intake mods. The 289 was the heart of the original Mustang performance image and remained a go-to option through the late 60s. It was found in Fairlanes, Falcons, and even trucks, proving its versatility. The 289 Hypo K-Code engine was used in early Shelby GT350s and made the Mustang a serious performer on track and street. The 289 helped solidify Ford's small block V8 dominance, leading to later legendary engines like the 302 and 351 Windsor. Even today, you'll find thousands of classic Mustangs still using or rebuilding their original 289s, thanks to strong aftermarket support and parts availability. Fun fact: the high-performance K-Code 289 had solid lifters, a special camshaft, stronger rods, and higher compression, making it one of the most potent small blocks of the era, and a key part of the Shelby Mustang legend. Number 1, 1965 Chevrolet Impala engine, 283 and 327, small block V8s, 283 cubic inch V8. produced around 195 to 220 horsepower, depending on the carburetor and tuning. Known for its simplicity and low maintenance needs, more performance-oriented, producing up to 350 horsepower in high-performance trims, though more commonly 250 to 300 horsepower in Impalas. It had strong torque, smooth delivery, and was easy to upgrade. Both engines were push-rod overhead valve OHV designs, a layout that was cheap to build, easy to repair, and exceptionally durable. These engines were engineered with cast iron blocks and heads, which made them heavy but nearly indestructible. They could run hot, cold, rich, or lean, and still fire up reliably. The Rochester and Carter carburetors used were simple, mechanical, and easy to service. No electronics to fail. Low-stress operation. Many Impalas were driven gently as family cars, which extended their mechanical life. Because Chevy sold millions of small block V8s, replacement parts are still everywhere, keeping them alive even decades later. The 1965 Impala set a U.S. production record. Over 1 million units sold in 1 year. Both the 283 and 327 became staples of hot rodding and racing, often transplanted into lighter cars or modified for drag racing. Still on the road, you'll find thousands of these engines still running today, not just in Impalas, but in everything from vintage trucks to resto mods. Fun fact, the 327 was often called the Mighty Mouse because it packed serious performance into a small, reliable package. And unlike high-strung European engines, it could go 100,000 plus miles with basic maintenance.